Man, that is very cold.
I decided recently that I'm going to learn how to make jollof rice. Now, before everyone bombards me with questions like, oh my God, how do you not know how to make jollof rice? How old are you? What have you been doing with your life? Why do you even exist? I want you all to relax, calm down, and let's try and answer an even deeper question. Where did jollof rice even come from? Now, growing up in Nigeria, I just naturally believed that jollof rice was something that us Nigerians invented, particularly the Yoruba people. It wasn't until I got older and started traveling and meeting other people from West Africa that I realized that they also had their own version of jollof rice. And the funny thing was, they all thought they invented it too. Might or might not know this, but apparently the name Jollof is inherited from the name of the ancient kingdom of the Wolof people, which was situated in what is now modern-day Senegal. The Senegalese also have their own version of jollof rice. It combines the rice with seasoning and stew ingredients like Nigeria, but they add fish and call it cheb ujen, and if it includes meat, they call it cheb uyap. The Gambians call the same dish benachin, which means one pot. Somehow, jollof rice traveled from the Senegambian region to the other parts of West Africa, including Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria. The question is how? There is talk by historians that the dish may have traveled south from the ancient Wolof kingdom in the mid-1500s. However, food historians like James C. McCain consider this unlikely. His reasoning was, why would only that dish have traveled from the kingdom to the rest of West Africa, but not the kingdom's languages, politics, or cultural practices? He suggests that it is more likely that the dish spread to the rest of West Africa long before the 1500s, and instead during the reign of the Great Mali Empire. If you guys recall from our basic Nigerian history episodes, the Mali Empire was quite large and was one of the biggest and longest lasting empires in Africa. We can track how it helped to spread the Islamic influence all over West Africa, as well as other skills such as blacksmithing, small-scale marketing, and the rice agronomy. When I say rice agronomy, I basically mean rice specialists, people that know how to plant and grow it and other little tips and trades. The empire covered most of the areas where jollof rice is now prevalent, including the Senegambian region. Therefore, it is very likely that jollof rice traveled with the empire and its various cultural diaspora as they were moving around these lands trading. The dish most likely changed slightly as cooks used new local ingredients and local women innovated and experimented with their own version of jollof rice. And that's most likely how it became the most famous West African dish. It should be noted that the Wolof people were able to shake off the rule of the Mali in the mid-1300s and were soon back to being their independent selves. You can find out more about this in episode 2 and 3 of our basic Nigerian history series. I'm sorry, I just had to slide it in there. The historian in me couldn't resist. So, what makes up the modern day jollof rice? Well, let's see, shall we? The basic ingredients of jollof rice include rice, tomatoes, onions, peppers, and seasonings, all types of spices and herbs. The main ingredient of the dish is in the name, the rice.
So we've got rice, because it's jollof rice, isn't it?
Rice is a staple food for nearly half of the world's population, and according to a research done in 2006, in West Africa alone, there are approximately 20 million farmers involved in rice farming, and over 100 million people are directly dependent on it for their livelihood. Rice is also important because it is cheap, convenient, and not as perishable as other staple crops in Africa like yam and cassava. This then begs the question that if rice is so important to West Africa, why is our most famous dish mostly using imported rice? Yup, that's right. Even my sister, when she was shopping, chose to specifically buy a particular type of rice that is not native to West Africa.
I'm buying golden basmati summer rice. Fat rice.
Yeah.
I just feel like fat rice is so 2008. Basmati rice is the new wave.
Now, you might say it's because we're in London and it was easy to get that type of rice. But even in West Africa, there is an overwhelming reliance on rice imports, which has serious implications on the food security. Ghanaians usually prefer basmati rice. For Nigerians, it's long grain rice, whereas the Senegalese prefer to use medium grain rice. So why? A 2010 study done on rice preferences in Ghana found that the majority of consumers in Africa prefer imported local rice, and their reasons for this included poor harvest handling. This meant that there was often things like stones and other foreign objects in the local rice. They also mentioned that local rice is generally seen as inferior. And finally, it just doesn't give the effect and the aroma that they wanted for their rice. The few that do enjoy local rice do so out of the perceived better nutritional value and the fact that it is cheaper than imported rice. This reliance and preference for imported rice also has its roots in colonialism. The Senegambian region, where it is believed jollof rice originated, was a French colony, and it is reported that during more recent colonial times, the French pushed the Senegalese towards eating rice from Vietnam, which is another French colony, so that the Senegalese would no longer have to produce their own rice crops and could instead devote themselves completely to the cultivation of peanuts, intended for the manufacture of oil for the French oil industry. Even in Nigeria, imported rice is considered better quality than local rice. There is now a movement by the Ghana Rice Interprofessional Body to start growing these aromatic and preferred rice in Africa too, and keeping them to the standards of the imported rice in order to promote the consumption of locally produced rice. Another important ingredient that my sister adds to her jollof rice is Scotch Bonnet. Oh, she wants a box of Scotch Bonnet hot peppers.
Yeah.
Which are those little hot red peppers? I mean, they can be red, yellow, green. Basically, what I'm saying is jollof really jollof without a little bit of spice? The interesting thing about Scotch Bonnet is that it is prevalent in a lot of Nigerian and West African dishes, but it is not native to Nigeria. In fact, hot peppers are not native to Africa at all. I know, it was a big shock to me too. So where does Scotch Bonnet actually come from? Well, according to the research, it originated in the Caribbean. First arrived in Africa during the 15th century, after the Europeans invaded the Americas. During this time, there was a widespread transfer of plants, animals, culture, human population, both enslaved and free, technology, diseases, and so on. Another ingredient in jollof rice that was brought over from the Americas is tomato. Yep, I learned all sorts in making this video. If you want to know more about the European activities in Nigeria during the 15th century, feel free to check out our basic Nigerian history series. Okay, enough of history. The original goal of this video is to learn how to make jollof rice, and I'm sure by now you know that everyone makes it slightly different. I didn't think much about this, but in my family it is actually like a rite of passage for the ladies. My little sister was taught by my older sister, who was taught by my mom. And this is our own special little way of doing it. Shh, don't tell anyone. So first you blend a mixture of the tomatoes, bell peppers, Scotch bonnets, onions to create the stew mixture. Then you add a little bit of oil and some tomato puree paste and let it fry for a bit. Some people prefer to use palm oil in the Nigerian version, but if you can get your hands on healthier oil, such as olive oil or sunflower oil, then I'd recommend you do so. You pour the blended mix into the pot and add seasoning. This is the part where the experience and intuition comes into play, or so she tells me. She adds some of the garlic powder, the bay leaves, the chicken, the beef seasoning, as well as thyme. You leave it to cook for a while. And whilst it's cooking, you can use this opportunity to wash the rice and get rid of the excess starch. Then you add the washed rice to the boiling stew and mix it well and cook on relatively low heat. When you can see the rice is rising to the top of the stew, this is when you move on to the next stage. You need to steam the rice to allow the flavors to seep into it. My sister does this by first putting some tin foil over the rice, then placing a simple plastic bag over the tin foil before closing the lid. Then you regularly check up on your rice, say every 5 minutes in between games of double. And voila, before you know it, the rice is done. You can have the jollof rice with various sides like meat, fish, plantain, moi moi, all sorts. But we are choosing to have it with a simple, healthy salad. Rockets, cucumber, sliced tomatoes, heck, you can even add cheese. Honestly, this is my first time of trying that particular combo, but it's not bad. There's also another version of Nigerian jollof rice known as party jollof rice, and it has a lovely smoky aroma to it, as well as being a little sweet. I don't know how to describe it, but I know it's amazing and I love it. It requires cooking the jollof rice in an iron pot over firewood or charcoal fire, and is usually done for special occasions and parties. Well, apparently, a study done by Unilever shows that exposure to smoke from cooking is the 4th largest risk factor for diseases in the developing world and causes around 600,000 deaths in Africa per year. So I guess that's something to keep in mind when advocating for smoky jollof rice. Now, as far as the rivalry between the Ghanaian and the Nigerian jollof rice and when it started and all of that, well, that's a very interesting story. You see, back in I'm just kidding. I have no idea where this whole thing came from or what triggered it, you know, I'm not about to dive into it. I'm just gonna mind my business and enjoy the jollof rice that my sister made for me. Hey guys, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. This is something new and different. It's a little passion project that I want to try out. If you guys enjoy this and want me to do more like this, please leave a comment below. Also, please consider supporting us on Patreon so we can create other interesting series such as this and I can get more people to help out. Another thing I wanted to mention is, you know what I don't understand is why is it that the Yorubas really took to jollof rice more than the other cultures in Nigeria or the other ethnic groups in Nigeria? Because now it's a national Nigerian dish, but previously it was mainly the Yoruba people making it. It's not considered a standard Igbo dish like edikaiko or isiewu, and neither is it considered a standard Hausa dish like tuwo shinkafa, but it is considered a standard Yoruba dish. Why is that? We don't know. Anyways, that's it. Thank you all for watching. Appreciate it.